Hey, Mr. Music Man, how you doing this evening?
What's going on?
How are you?
Well, good. What's it? Two ladies. This is just a story. These two ladies at a network meeting came over to me, and he said, "Your show was really good, but we missed Dimples." Good evening, everybody. I just got the finger from Jim. It's all part of the story, right?
Hey, everybody, it's Darren from the Business Power Hour. I'm not going to be in the studio tonight. I'm traveling.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man, except Darren's not here.
I'm here.
No,
I'm
you're
right
not
here.
Does anybody see that? Darren is not here. Darren is away.
I am right here. I'm right
Be quiet
next
for
to
a
you.
second. You're not here. What? I don't know if you got lucky.
Not the really interesting question.
That's a fantastic question, Norman.
Wow. See, I got fantastic. You just got good. I got fantastic.
Show's about him, so let's focus on that.
We are.
Were you drinking before the show?
Oh Jesus! Oh Jesus!
There we go. We got it.
It's good.
No, it's
Now we got a flow.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
smother it.
So, I think this is a music thing.
It's making noise.
It's making music.
Is it?
Yeah. That's so sweet. That's so sweet of you, Darren.
By the way, this is a Yankee station.
It's a
Thank
Yankee
you.
station, John.
Thank you.
It's a Yankee station.
All right.
Unfortunately,
We got bugs in here. What's going on?
I don't know.
Do you spray? Get
You
an
know what? It's
exterminator?
that time of year where you're getting bugs and stuff. As long as we don't have bees, I'm good.
Yeah, all right. That's
But
We have a lot of undulations out in the field. Undulations.
Is that a wine?
no, you,
What the hell is undulation?
Fred, don't use big words. Hey, right? So this.
Help.
I gotta give him a cough button, Jim. What do you think?
A cough
Because-
button would be a good idea. Consider that a good question that he asked?
Great question.
There you go. I got
Pythons
one.
and brains.
You're double D?
I'm double D. Show's about him, so let's focus on that.
We are. Hey, give me some loving.
How are you, Music Man?
Hello, Darren. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm
this week.
absolutely convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that
telling
you
you.
got some kind of brain damage when you had that thing last year.
I'm telling you, and he called. And
Not classy, but classy.
Seeing interviews by Darren and the Music Man. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Siafi and Norman Wasserman.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour for the second time tonight. We apologize for the technical difficulties that we didn't know that we had.
We had a delay getting on air tonight. It was technical. I take full responsibility
You
for
deserve
it.
it. So
It's
whether you say I'm
on
giving it to you.
me. So needless to say, we had a good week. We got a bunch of great things happening. We'll announce in a second. But let's jump right back into our guests if we could.
All right, so let's just get into the fact that tonight's topic is the end of life journey and beyond with Lisa Strauss-Laurent and Susan Capruso.
And we want to welcome ladies.
Again. Welcome back, ladies. Now, see if you can do as good as you did the first 12 minutes.
So the first of all, I truly apologize for what happened. I take full responsibility. I should have caught it right in the beginning, but I didn't. But you know what? Both of you have been on the show before, right? To talk about tragedies. Susan, you're what we call an end-of-life doula, which you're going to explain in
Got to explain what a doula means.
We'll explain that. And, Lisa's been on, and last time Lisa was on, she brought her book that talked about living with tragedy and how to, move forward. And life isn't, woe is me, but let's celebrate what's going on and let's celebrate what's happening. So, Lisa, just quickly, I know I gave the elevator pitch on who you are and what you're at, but talk a little bit about who you are,
Sure. Sure. No, thanks again for the opportunity to be here.
Take two.
So, bottom line, I have lived with death my whole life, and it's not a pity or anything. It's a fact. My biological mother died when I was 2. She was only 26. My father died when I was 30. He was 56. My mother died when I was 46 and she was 72. That's my adopted mom. And my husband died when I was 55 and he was 56. So I know what death is, but I don't dwell on the fact that woe is me, isn't this a horrible life? I dwell on celebrating the amazing lives that they led and that they were part of my life. And it's really all about how you celebrate people's lives, either towards the end or after they are gone. They actually never leave you. They're always a part of you. But it's how you deal with it that really is what's the most important thing of how you move on with your life. And that's why my book is called Families Moving On. So that's my part. And Susan's part is the journey, the end of life journey part.
Yeah. So Susan, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
So an end-of-life doula is a non-medical person. We guide and support a person and their family, person passing, emotionally, spiritually, holistically. We help them navigate the end of life, the whole journey through the end.
So are you like, hey, you know what? Say I know I don't have much time left on this earth, and we engage you to help me get through it. Are you saying, okay, you need to do this, this, and this before you leave? Or is it more from an emotional standpoint, don't dwell on the fact that you're not going to be here, but enjoy the time that you have right now?
Well, there's three phases that you go through, and these are some of the videos Lisa and I, the educational videos that we're doing lately. The first phase is the shock phase. So it's shocking when you get a terminal diagnosis for the person, for their family, for everybody. And then there's a window called the stabilization phase, and that's a window of time. And it may be a short period of time or a long period of time. It could be a year. My last client I was with for 9 months. And during that time is when you can work on certain things in your life. And I help them incorporate videos and audios and letters and gifting and a whole plethora of things. My book that came out last year, Coming Full Circle, is 100 tools, tips, and ideas to help you navigate and flow through this time in a gentler and loving way.
Susan, let me ask you a question. You said you spent 9 months with this client of yours, patient client.
Sorry, guys.
How much time during the course of a day do you spend per client? Does it vary? Do you have multiple clients? Or how do people, how do they get you? How do they find you?
It really varies, Norm, and that's a really good question. And the funny thing is, with all the networking and the people I've been meeting, you'd think that it would be referrals. However, it's people that are Googling end of life online. And surprisingly, the people who've been finding me or like the grandchildren of the person passing, or the niece or nephew, or daughter or son, but it's not the person themselves. And when I started this journey 2.5 years ago, I really thought it would be the person reaching out to me. I did have a man, a young man in his 40s with 2 young children, and he had a diagnosis, and he traveled the United States trying all these trials and different things because he was not going to leave this earth. He was going to do what he could do to live on. And what happened was he was at 4th stage cancer. It was too late. And when he realized this, he started researching online, what are some of the things that I can do for my kids so they know who I am moving forward as they grow. And he stumbled across my website, East End Doula Care, and so excited. And he called me and we had a lengthy conversation on a Friday, and we were going to go, do some busy work here because he was starting to get sicker and sicker. So that's what I mean. When you come in, it depends where you are on your timeline. So we had it set up for Tuesday morning, and I get the call Tuesday morning that he had passed. So it was a little late to work on some of those things with him.
Here's something that sounds a little spooky.
It depends, and it's
No, no,
not.
no. This is a question. This is a question that I have for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been with somebody that's terminal and you spent whatever time, 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, whatever it was, and they didn't pass?
No.
Because medically or whatever,
Yeah.
God, whatever it may be,
Oh, sure.
kept them?
And that's a possibility, and that hasn't happened in my history yet. Yeah, so it's people that have called that know they have the diagnosis, and they're pretty much over that first initial shock phase, and they're more accepting, you know, and they want now the rest of their months to be loving and gentle and celebratory, and they don't know what to do. They need a little direction to make this the best time before they go. So it's worked out nicely so far, yeah.
So before, you guys were saying that you and Lisa are now putting workshops together, right?
So we started with one workshop, just from the conversation that we had, meeting at an online meeting, you know, a SWEBEC meeting. We put together one workshop on January 13th called The Sands of Time, the End of Life Journey and Beyond. And we had 26 people attend. And some of those people were, you know, whose family members were going through an end of life journey, and others were really going through bereavement. And we, you know, the hour and a half that we spent, we presented information, we had a discussion, and then we allowed people to ask questions. There were actually 52 people originally who even just registered, and then, you know, people,
Nice.
you know, can't technically go on or whatever. But yeah, we did that. And after we were done with that, we looked at each other and said, you know what, we should be doing more. There's more we can do for people, especially because at this time, there's so many people who are lost and who are going through very difficult health problems and, you know, end of life problems, and it changes as well. So
you know, my question is now is, Susan, did this change your, I don't want to say business model, right? Or maybe it is, but the pandemic, did it change the way that you go about doing what you do?
Well, sure, absolutely. So I began my journey because 7 years ago, my husband passed away of the flu, and it wasn't the pandemic, of course, it was the regular flu. And I lost 13 more people after that within a 2-year period. So I was always hands-on. You know, I'd be in the person's house with them and supporting their family and the person passing. Because of the pandemic, the first week in March last year, I had to make a big decision, and that included pivoting my business. And the reason I did this is because I had 2 boys. I have 2 boys, and I didn't want them to lose a second parent, okay, due to this, the COVID. And it scared me. To be honest, it scared me. So how am I going to pivot? You know, I write, I do the online courses, and now I work virtually with people. You know, Zoom's been wonderful. So I do virtual consulting with people, and to get on a Zoom room with somebody who's in tears because their mother's dying in the other room, by the time my 90 minutes is over with them, they're smiling and they say, I've got this. Thank you. I knew this was happening, and I instill a confidence.
Do you have contacts in nursing homes and hospitals and rehab centers or whatever it may be that refer?
I have some, you know, and I'm in a lot of circles. I'm on a few committees for Stony Brook Hospital for the patient experience and advocacy. I do the National Aging in Place. You know, I'm on the board with National Aging in Place. So I do have quite a few contacts. But again, I've been pioneering on Long Island for 2.5 years. So people hear about me and go, oh, what's that? You know, good. They'll you know, something that they'll need to know. It's a need to know thing. So it's been challenging in that I'm trying really to educate people now.
Well, you know, how new is this end of life doula concept?
Well,
you know,
yeah. So I would say it goes back. You know, it goes back decades and decades and decades. But there was no title. There was no title, end of life doula. But these are some of the things that that mindful people who would pre-plan and their families knew what to do. And that went on through the years. There was just no title put to it. And in the last, I would say probably within the last 10 years, you know, there are schools that are certifying people, and there's so much more learning and awareness out there. I was taught to think that within 2 years, when I had started my journey, that everybody would know what an end-of-life doula is. And honestly, not everybody doesn't know what an end-of-life doula is, but more and more people are becoming aware. More and more people. So what I'm concentrating on teaching people what I know and what I've learned, so they can use that with their own family.
Right. Do you have to be licensed to be a doula?
There's a certification that you really should take. You know, you can call yourself an end-of-life doula, but it's not working like that. They want everybody to follow the same guidelines and get the same license. So they have what you call.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Does the state have a licensing that you have to go through?
Yeah, and it's a badge that you get. It's actually testing that you need to do. So whether you want to go through the schooling and get your certification or not, you really need to test to take this badge to validate who you are.
Okay.
And it's
you have a lot of badges too in your life.
I have a lot of badges in my life?
No, Lisa. I'm talking to Lisa now.
Oh.
You have a lot of life's badges.
I do. And bereavement is a really important thing to go through. And those people who decide that they don't have to worry about it, they're just going to forget about it, believe me, it will haunt them the rest of their lives. Until they really embrace grieving, missing the person, but then realizing how to move on with your life and celebrating their lives. I've done so many things that celebrate the people who are no longer here. And I'm going to give you just one quick example from yesterday. My mom, my second mom, my adopted mom, would have been 93 yesterday. And she's been gone since 2000. And I was there when she died. I actually told the hospital to remove all the life, you know, all the things that were keeping her alive. And yesterday I played, and I do play every single year, the beautiful 70th birthday party I made for her. It was a surprise party. There were 98 people at the Milleridge Inn. She walked in the door and couldn't believe that all these people were there for her. And I am so thrilled that I did that. And I watch that movie, that video every year and say, Mom, you know, we made you happy and it was just a wonderful time. And I see her with all her friends. Just a wonderful way to remember her, even though she's not with me. I mean, she was only with me she came when I was 4 years old. Okay.
So
she was with me 42 years altogether.
Right. So is that something, you know, when you talk about what you just talked about, is that something you guys teach? Is don't think about those happy times, relive those happy times, and that helps them through this process?
It does. And there's a lot of really, yes, and there's a lot of really happy things you can do. However, let's all be realistic. Your life is not the same. You know, afterwards, you know, just getting up in the morning is a big deal. Being able to do things is a big deal. I mean, you know, losing anybody who is integral in your life, that is a big deal. And so it's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. I mean, you know, all those feelings are fine. You can go to a support group. You can end up with, you know, one-to-one counseling. I readily do that with people. But you have to find your way. Everybody has their own way. There may be some commonalities, like I spoke about the book, but each of us journey in a different way. And we support that, and we help people find different things that will help them get through to the point. I mean, it's 12 years since my husband's been gone, and I cannot believe how my life has changed. And I celebrate him on his birthday, on the day that he died. I watch a certain movie on our anniversary. I mean, I still believe that those things are part of my life. And I talk about him to my granddaughters who never met him. So he stays, you know, alive in our hearts, you know, and bereavement is a process. It's a very important journey, just like the journey of, you know, the end of your life.
It's closure. Again, you got to have closure.
Very important.
Even when you're angry with somebody or vice versa, you know, getting closure makes you pass easier.
Susan, is, you know, some of the things that Lisa described and how she celebrates the lives that have affected her and have now passed. Do you do the same things?
I do. So there's certain things that, my boys and I do each year to celebrate, my husband. He was so young and so vibrant and loud and loved by so many. I didn't know he knew so many people. 800 people came to his funeral, and I didn't know half of them. I didn't know half of them. He was a popular guy. So we do things like that. Unfortunately with him, he didn't have time to plan. You don't always. It could be if you die of a tragedy, or you in a car accident, or when he got the flu. 4 days later, we took him into the hospital and they intubated him right away. And he stayed intubated for 55 days. So until he passed. So there wasn't we didn't have that opportunity. But when you're aware that things can be done and you have the opportunity and you can be mindful and plan some of these things before you go, it's just amazing and it's magical. It really is. It's magical to leave the earth. Listen, we're all going there. We're all going there. In other countries, they're celebrating, the whole town comes around to celebrate a death. And they stay for days and play the music and have drinks. And as long as you need them to be there, it doesn't matter whether they knew your husband or not. They're there to help you. If we could do things like that ahead of time, what do we have now? We have the 2-hour wake.
Yeah.
What kind of closure are you getting from the 2-hour wake? But if you had a life celebration 4 weeks earlier or 8 weeks earlier with 80 of your closest family and friends, and you all got to laugh and cry and tell stories and love each other, what do you think they're talking about at the 2-hour wake? Thank God Aunt Mary did that. Thank God we got to spend those 8 hours with her. So there's so many things that you can do to make a difference. It's just it being mindful. And instead, death is the second leading fear worldwide. So what happens? You get the death diagnosis, and not just the person passing, but the family is just so afraid.
Chinaman.
They don't want to talk about it. We just don't talk about it.
Right.
And they don't do a lot of the important things that can be done.
Susan and Lisa, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Well, do you want to post that? Really, there you go. So there are our phone numbers and our email addresses.
Why don't you tell everybody your number, Lisa?
Sure. So phone number is 631-839-6226. And appropriately, my email address is lisamovingon@gmail.com.
All right. How about you, Susan?
My phone number is 631-946-8100. And you can email me at susan@eastenddoulacare.com. The website's East End Doula Care. But we really wanted to come on and talk to you guys today.
Yep.
To let you know that by coming together and pivoting a little bit, because we do a lot of online work now, we've managed to put this YouTube channel together. And we said, you know what, all of this good, valuable information and education that Lisa and I have to give, we're going to do some videos. So we've been doing them weekly now on different subjects, like the shock phase, the stabilization phase, the transition phase. And it's things that maybe people don't know about. So we're trying to help. Yeah.
Susan, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll discuss the YouTube channel. And then we'll also open up the phone lines. All right. And maybe a couple of people who are going through similar things or need help will give us a call and discuss, what their needs are.
At 631-619-7500, and we'll give the phone number again when we get back.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Small business owners, are you having trouble growing your business? Do you feel like you're always swimming upstream? Do you feel like daily tension that I can't get ahead and I don't know why? Hi everybody, my name is Darren and I'm a business therapist. What's a business therapist? Well, some people call us coaches, some people call us advisors, other people even call us strategists. We take a vested interest in you and your personal development as a person and as a business owner, to give you the tools and structure that you need to take it to that next level. So don't wait. Give me a call today for your free consultation and let me show you how you can help yourself.
All right, we are back. Hold on. I want to get the phone number up here. Anybody who wants to call in, 631-619-7500. The phone lines are open. So, guys, before we went on break, all right, we talked about your YouTube channel and the things that you're putting out there as far as content for everybody. So tell us where they can find the YouTube channel.
Well, first, if they just search the Sands of Time, or they search the End of Life Journey and Beyond, and then I tagged. We did a lot of tags on dying, support, bereavement, grieving. We did a lot of tags. So even if you do searching like that, you'll probably come across us. And so we have a channel, and then we have our 2 playlists. The playlist for the work that Susan does, and the playlist for what I do, on Moving On. So our videos, once a week, we do new ones. We'll also have guests, professionals, who will come on and give us information that's very important, for people to know. And this will be an ongoing process that, we'll again give. And we discuss, by the way, it's not just presentations. We're discussing between us during
What kind
that
of
time
guests do you have?
go ahead, Susan.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Norm.
Yes.
What kind of guests do you invite?
We're inviting a turn.
Okay, so we're actually doing, a series of guests, but not for every video that we do. So the videos are 20 minutes to a half hour and offering valuable end of life and after end of life education. The guests that we're inviting are, for different topics. Our first guest actually will be in a few weeks, Brian Tully. So he'll be discussing end of life.
He's an attorney, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Right. And he's going to talk about end of life documents, the most important documents, especially if you get that diagnosis, things to have in place. So a variety. We have a variety of people that we want to
Well, the reason why I asked, because there may be some people that didn't know about you that relate to what you both do. It may be a good idea for them to call you and have a brief conversation with you, and then you decide if they're the right kind of people for you.
Absolutely. We're
if I came on your show and offered to do a concert, it wouldn't exactly be right.
Right.
But an attorney like Mr. Tully would be ideal.
Right. Right.
Well, I think, because if you think about it, right, there's so many people that could be on this, because you're not just doing having the attorney on is great. You need to have certain things in line, but it's also about celebrating what time is left. So there could be you could come on and do a concert. You could come on something. Yeah, sure you could. See, this is
maybe somebody's last wishes.
Now, ladies, let me. The whole point that we talked about before the show started was, let's celebrate what's going on. See, you're not celebrating.
All right,
you're not celebrating.
We'll bring Cool in the gang, and they can do celebration.
Well, you know what? If I knew I only had 4 to 6 weeks left, and we were going to have a party, and you said I was bringing Cool to the gang, you know what? I'd be excited.
I'd bring you hamburgers.
I know you would bring me hamburgers. That's because you love me so much.
That's right. You love hamburgers.
I got to tell you guys something that just reminded me of this. So I had a client who she had just had a few weeks to live. And we're talking one day, and she says to me, Susan, because I tried to ask her, what are some of the things? I help fulfill bucket lists too. And at that point, she wasn't getting out of bed, but I wanted to discuss some of the things that she loved and wanted to do in her life. And one of them, she was 70 years old. One of them was that she never got to go to a Rolling Stones concert. And I says, I don't know how I'm going to help with this one. Give me the night and I'll think about it. So I ran to Best Buy and I got the Oculus. the virtual reality. And I pulled up on YouTube a Rolling Stones concert, and she laid in that bed for 2 hours watching this concert with a smile on her face, singing and dancing. And she told me it was the best day she's had in 10 years. She was so thrilled that I did that.
How good does that make you feel?
Oh, so fulfilled. So fulfilled. My heart, it just gets so warm. And I have to tell you, if you are blessed enough to be with somebody at the end of their life, do it. Be the one. Be the one that can guide them through this, because there's nothing more heartfelt, loving, and fulfilling than to get to be a part of that. There's a golden nugget of time before a person passes. And no, it might not be in the last couple of weeks when they're not aware. But before that,
this gives such meaning to your life, doesn't it?
Oh, it's magical.
That you do.
Absolutely.
I've done it twice. I've done it twice. I was with my husband the last week that I knew he was dying, and it was hospice at home, and with my mom in the hospital, who knows how much she was aware, but machines were really keeping her alive. And in both cases, I think it was an amazing privilege and gift to be with them in their last breath.
So, Susan, I want to go back to you for a second. You mentioned before there were 3 phases that people go through when they get that diagnosis, right? And you talked about the shock, right? And then you kind of talked about the second one. What's the third phase?
The third phase is the transition phase. And that is really the end. And that could be anywhere from, it could be a month, it could be several weeks, it could be depending. I've been called in the last few days. But it's a time when you want to set the space. You're leaving this earth in this area, in this room, and you want it to be beautiful, and you want to make it as serene as you can. And you want to have the music that the person loved, or books, or readings, or smells good, or flowers. You want to set the ambiance and just be there. Be there, even if it's to hold a hand and not talk, but to be there for them. This is their time.
Okay. Go ahead, Lisa.
And the bereavement
I wanted to mention the medical, right? So one of the things that we do, or that I do as a doula, is you want to educate families on the things that are going to happen. When the breathing changes happen, the breathing patterns change, rather. The eating, when that subsides. When gurgling takes place, they call that the death rattle, which is horrible. I don't like the way that sounds, but that happens with people. So a lot of these tools, giving the families these tools and letting them know that these things are going to happen, expect them. And then when they do happen, and you grab their hand and say, remember I told you about this? Remember we talked about that this was going to happen next? And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. Everything is okay. It just makes, almost like having me there, it almost feels like they feel safe. Families feel safe for some reason, because I could tell them what to expect next.
Well, isn't that the thing, though? What scares people the most is they don't know what to expect.
It's fear of the unknown. Absolutely.
Fear of the unknown,
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question. First, I want to do a couple of shout outs real quick. Mike Brothers, as we all know, loves you guys.
Hey, Mike.
We love him too.
Hi, Mike.
Great guy.
Hope you're doing
Hi,
well,
Mike.
Mike. My cousin Liz. Hi, Liz. I love you,
Liz.
sweetheart. Mick Lindquist from he's in Wisconsin now. He's a friend of mine in Wisconsin. Hey, Mick. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all of that and what's going on. And actually, Mike Brothers is somebody that deals with a lot of this stuff with the business that he's in, and a lot of the people that he's dealing with. So I guess he really understands what's going on too. And we know that because of his work with the veterans and everything else.
Should I give a plug? Okay.
Go ahead.
May 1st, plug for the American, for the veterans of the United States Armed Forces. We are doing a fundraiser for the American Legion. And Mike Brothers was instrumental in getting that going. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, Mike's a good guy. He kind of he had the American Legion on,
And they'll be on again, by the way.
Right, and he kind of got sucked in.
Yeah.
Right? It was
we kind of like
we kind of told him what he needed to do, and he's now a card-carrying member.
Yeah, I think he's involved in West Babylon or something. Mike,
right.
Let me know if I'm correct on that.
Yeah, I think so. No,
I want to throw in how important it is, bereavement, because a lot of people right now are grieving loved ones, okay, from the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I just want to point out that it might be very difficult to see your life afterwards, not having those people around anymore. But day after day and month after month and year after year, things do change. You have to allow yourself that time, and you also have to find things that are going to help you. One of the things that I did only probably a month after my husband died, I made an online memorial site for him, which still exists today. It's the Eternal Portal, and it's a beautiful way of remembering him. People put virtual flowers on it, candles. I have a guest book that people sign. I have my own journal, their pictures. It's really a beautiful way of keeping his memory alive. Some people go to graves, some people do other things. This was something that, seemed right for our family to do. So I throw that out as something that is an idea for people to still have.
We're seeing more and more of that, and like part of the whole funeral home experience now is them posting a virtual tribute of
videos,
videos and all of that stuff on the website to be carried on. I guess Susan, that goes to what you were talking about before when they said, we have these 2-hour wakes, but by doing what Lisa's done, it's no longer a 2-hour wake. It's because we all, I've lost both my parents, and there's times where I'm just sitting and for no apparent reason, all of a sudden my dad pops in my head and I start thinking about things that we did together, and, and the same thing with my mom, and, those memories pop in, and when we can revisit, those things,
of course,
it's a way to do it.
It's just, Darren, it's overwhelming, and Lisa and I are not making light of this subject in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. But I've had other widows say to me, if I only had a recorder that I could keep on the little end table next to my bed, and I can hear my husband talking to me and telling me that you'll be okay, everything will be okay. Do you know how much I loved you our whole lives? Do you remember when we met? And to hear these kinds of things is so, I don't know, what's the word?
You want to hear the last words that my husband said to me? He said to me, promise me that you won't live the rest of your life alone. That's what he said to me.
And you took care of his promise.
And I did. He'd be so proud of me. He would. He'd be so proud of me. I'm with a widower. And believe me, both of us love our spouses. He is. Yeah. Lucky and loved twice. I mean, that's a real gift.
Is what the two of you do non-sectarial?
Oh, absolutely. It's not about religion. It's not about religion. However, if people need that in their lives, whatever is important to you and whatever does that for you, what comforts you, I'm not here to say, do this, do that. I'm here to try and help people see that there are wonderful things that you can do to celebrate that person's life.
To be spiritual is not the same as being religious.
Right.
Because religion, I'm very spiritual, but I'm not very religious. I'm cynical because I look at every religion in some form is a business. All right. It really is, right?
It is the business of religion. Yes.
It's a business, and everybody, they have to donate and all. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them do a lot of good, but there's also a very dark side to some of these religions.
You can't go to church or temple and pray to God, whatever God you believe and what you do, and then drop a 20 in the basket.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of like kills the whole deal.
Exactly.
You go to church to pray and to ask for forgiveness or whatever it is you want to do. Temple, the same thing. A mosque, and you shouldn't have to go and do that.
Right. you know, I like I said, I'm very spiritual. I believe if I miss Sunday Mass, doesn't mean I'm going to hell.
Right.
You know, because I know
Not when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think of is your source or God or whoever you believe in.
Right.
You know, and they're with you all the time, and you have that faith and belief all the time through the day.
And
You know,
so are
I
your
pray when
morals
I'm
and your
driving in the
values.
car.
And so are the things that you hold close to you.
Right.
Those are things that my mom and my dad, you know, through all those years gave to me. And those are things that I've given to my children and my grandchildren. And those things live on. They live on, you know, the rest of our lives.
it's really who you are and what you're all about.
It is.
I want to give a couple of more shout outs here. John from Hazlitt's whining because I didn't mention his name.
Is he crying?
He's crying. So, but you know, he's like, eh. But I want to
He's
say,
going to cry in a few weeks.
I know he's. Shh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, Brittany Anderson, all the way. She's watching us. She's watching us from the West Coast. Brittany, Terry Magro's watching. Hey,
From
Terry.
the state of Washington, she is watching us.
Not Terry is.
Not Terry.
Not
Brittany.
Terry. Terry Magro says hi to you guys. You know, and Brittany and John and whoever else is watching, and I didn't see your name in the chat. I'm sorry, but I don't see everybody. And, you know, it just so happens that John popped up and Brittany popped up and Terry
We'll
popped
see
up,
your
so.
name every week for a $25 donation to the business hour. Amen.
I need us to mention something, which we both are, you know, we're both pretty humble people, but I've written 2 support books that are in memory of my husband and died of pancreatic cancer, and they support the Lustgarten Foundation. And Susan also has published.
So Lisa, give us the titles of your books and how people can get them.
Sure. They're on Amazon, but I really prefer that they go to familiesmoveon.com. So one is called Pancreatic Cancer. It's a family affair. And that's for people going through that disease. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know where a pancreas was. And so it really supports people and helps them and gives them information. And the second book, I followed those families. There were 20 families initially. I followed them, and 12 families out of the 20 decided to contribute to the second book. It's Pancreatic Cancer, Families Move On. And we talk about how our lives have changed after 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Where are we now? What did we learn? And these people are my friends. We've been bound together through tragedy and have really resilient, you know, lives now and have celebrated our lives.
I had pancreatic cancer.
That's unbelievable.
You are
a survivor.
Very beginning. I was very lucky.
Very lucky. Very lucky. Amazing. I have a survivor, by the way, 12 years, by the way, out. She did have the procedure, and she's very, very lucky. But it's been tough. It's been tough. All the other people who were in that first book, I had 4 survivors in the first book, had all died. So it's tough. Look at pancreatic cancer now, and you know, Chief Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and of course Alex Trebek. I mean, you know, so Lustgarten Foundation is a Long Island foundation. It's the world's largest nonprofit that provides research for pancreatic cancer. Hopefully an eventual cure and all that. So, but Susan is also a published author, and she has several books.
Susan, tell us about your book and how people can get it.
I have 3 books. You can search Susan Caperso on Amazon or go on the East End Doula Care website, and they're on there as well. There's a smaller ebook, it's a shorter book, to help you give you the stages of going through end of life. Then I have Remember Me, the story of my life. I have it right here. And this one, Remember Me, it's a book filled with prompts. Okay, so I get your juices flowing and help you get creative. I do workshops too for healthy people that like to finish the story of their life. And it gets them thinking back to a certain memory in time. So this is really a good tool to use. It's for healthy and sick people. And then Coming Full Circle is the 100 tools, tips, and ideas that everybody needs to bring into the end of their life. Yeah,
Susan,
this is 300 pages, pretty big book.
Mention the name of, mention your phone number again.
Yeah,
let everybody have the phone number.
631-946-8100.
Lisa, you too.
Sure, 631-839-6226. And it's Lisa moving on at gmail.com.
And as we get closer to that witching hour that flew by a little too fast,
A little too fast of technical issues.
Whatever. Do you have any special events coming up that you'd like to let people know about and attend?
No, but every week, usually on Mondays, we add a new video.
If you follow the page, you'll get the little link that a new video has come out. And I think I had a little hard time searching it. So when I put the Sands of Time in, there were a lot of other Sands of Times that had to do with video games and different things like that. So I think you have to put End of Life Journey, the Sands of Time, End of Life. That's what I put in, and then we popped up right away.
And that's on YouTube, right? So people go to YouTube, put in Sands of Time, End of Life, and you'll find these two wonderful ladies and all the great content that they put out every week, right? So we want to thank you guys for being on the show tonight. You guys were fantastic.
Always.
Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, but you guys are great, and we look forward to having you guys on again because you guys are just fantastic.
You were wonderful. We thank you very much.
Thank you
so much.
You two are too. Thank you for having us.
Great job,
Thanks so much
guys.
for having us.
And thank you for what you do.
All right, another great show.
I'm like almost sad. I mean,
Well, you know what? Because
I was doing a lot of thinking.
Well, you're doing a lot of thinking,
So-
but at the same time, we've been trained with the way we grew up
Absolutely.
was whenever death comes up, we just got to be sad. They're taking a whole new aspect to it.
Well,
right? They're
yeah.
saying, "Hey, don't be sad. Enjoy what you got left," and then we go there. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I know memories get churned up and everything else, but I'm going to make you happy right now.
All right, I want to be happy.
You know how we're always looking for guests, and you do a great job in bringing on the guests. You guys do a tremendous, you do an absolute, and I really fall behind in bringing the guest on. I secured us a guest.
Nah.
I had to negotiate, though. I got us an author, all right?
We've had authors before. We've
had
had you. That's how I met you.
This is a very prestigious author.
Okay.
He put out a fantastic book last year. We weren't able to get him at that time because he was just too busy.
He was so popular.
He was so popular and stuff. But now he is waiting to come on. And I talked to him today, but he told me this, right? That if he comes on, John from Hazlitt can't have any access to him at all.
What do you mean access? What kind of
Meaning
access?
phone in or be on the screen or do any of this stuff. So
is this a family affair?
It is a family affair. It's actually John's brother, Mike, actually wrote this book.
Well, I think they better talk to Lisa and Susan and get things straightened out. What do you think?
But Mike told me.
What's the name of the book?
The name of the book is the Phoenician Diner Cookbook.
That's thick.
I tell you what, we went through this. There's some really
nice
great
pictures.
And I love it. It's all diner food and it's all good stuff.
Maybe we can get him to cook.
Right?
Do you think that's possible?
That's possible. So
we've had chefs before on the show.
I know we have, but we'll work all that stuff out. But
when's he coming? Do you have a date?
We definitely March, but we're not sure exactly
next
which
week,
day.
So.
Well, he's not. It may be next week. It may not be next week.
It's
I don't know. But I think the thing is too, he doesn't really want his brother to know. So
we won't tell him.
We won't tell him. We won't say nothing to John.
No.
At all. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight.
Everybody else tune in and get some recipes.
Yeah, and we'll make sure the technical difficulties are not going on next week. So we'll start right at 7:00 here Wednesday night.
We'll attempt to start at 7:00 next Wednesday night
on the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man.
And on that note, good night, everybody.
Good night,
Have a great
everybody.
weekend. Wear your mask.